Battle of the Belts last night was not live. And we have a new TNT champion. His name is Sammy Guevara. And it looks like they might be doing the right thing and leaning into the negative reactions that he and Tay Conti have been getting together on TV, because last week they edited out the boos on Rampage. There were reports from the people who were in the building that they were getting booed heavily. On television, it was very obvious that they were, playing around with the editing. It was like a fucking WWE show. And they edited out a lot of the negative reaction on television. This week, we had another taped show that they could have edited if they wanted to, and they kept the boos in. Dan Lambert, during the match, called Paige Van Zandt down to the ring. She ended up brawling with Tay Conti on the floor. Meanwhile, back in the ring, Scorpio Sky, he thumbs Sammy in the eye. And when Scorpio was distracted by the commotion outside, Sammy paid him back with a low blow. And then he hit the GTH for the win. Was it simply a case of the babyface going dirty in response to the eye poke? Or is it a sign of a heel turn? It needs to be option B. It should be option B. I mean, right down to the way that he and Ty were just sucking each other's faces after the match. These two are completely obnoxious together on camera. They just are. That's how they come off. Completely obnoxious. Ty has the feud with Van Zandt, though, so we'll see, how they're going to handle that. The TNT title, it sucks because the TNT title has greatly suffered since Miro lost it last year. Scorpio Sky had the most uneventful, undefeated streak that I have ever seen in my life. They talked about how this guy went unbeaten in singles matches for like over 400 days, and nobody cared. Just a complete failure of a title reign for Scorpio Sky. Jonathan Gresham and Dalton Castle made their TNT debuts against each other for Gresham's Ring of Honor World Championship on that show last night. Castle had the boys back with him. I see he's still wearing that back brace. It's a shame his back betrayed him right when he reached his peak. He won the Ring of Honor World title a few years ago, and he had it for several months, but I mean, he had a debilitating back injury, and I'm not sure how his back is these days, but as soon as I saw the brace, it just reminded me of the back issues that have plagued him. And really, they stalled his career, and they stalled a lot of the momentum he had. He was one of those Ring of Honor stars on the rise. He had this great hot act at the time that I think could have ended up, in a bigger promotion or a WWE. Honestly, I mean, the whole Dalton Castle character and the gimmick and the boys and all that would seem ripe for WWE. That just seems like the sort of thing that they would love. But I think that injury really stalled him out, in a lot of ways. I like the match. No surprise to see Gresham retain. Gresham has signed an AEW contract, by the way. He signed an AEW deal to work for ROH, but I assume they could use him on any AEW shows they want, like they did here. Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, they walked to the ring after the match. Singh came off better here than he did on Wednesday. He chokeslammed the boys on the floor. He took out Castle. He got into the ring, and holy shit, the sight of Satnam Singh standing next to Jonathan Gresham. Singh is 7'3". Gresham is 5'4". He looked like a fucking child next to this man. Lee Moriarty comes out. He gets taken out. Matt Sydal had come out with him, hobbling on his crutches. He gets taken out. Here comes Samoa Joe with his new Ring of Honor TV title and a lead pipe to clear the deck. I'll say this about Singh. He at least seems to move around a lot better than the Great Khali did. Or even Omos over on Raw. He got out of that ring real quick when Joe came down. But Gresham also suffered an injury in the match. He said he's not medically cleared to make the trip to the UK this weekend for some shots he had for Progress Wrestling. I wouldn't be surprised if it was on that gut wrench spot that Dalton Castle did with him at the beginning of their match. It looked like he dumped him on his head and his shoulder. Even Taz mentioned it on commentary. Gresham's had to pull out of a few shows this year. He was pulled from the GCW pay-per-view in January. He was going to defend the ROH title on that show. And he was pulled from the Battle of Los Angeles right after that. due to COVID issues. He pulled out of his match with Low Ki at the House of Glory show last month. So now, of course, he's got some kind of medical issue that he's dealing with, and he had to pull out of this weekend. But they closed the show last night with Thunder Rosa successfully defending her AEW women's title against Nyla Rose, who has become something of a gatekeeper, I guess, for the women's division. Started out good. Those last few minutes really fell off. Rosa wins, though. That's the most important thing, and now she can move on. She can move on to Serena Deeb. I know Deeb is continuing her feud with Hikaru Shida right now, but the match at Double or Nothing, I think, should be Thunder Rosa defending that title against Serena Deeb. So that was Battle of the Belts. Again, quick 1 hour special, easy to watch. I say special. I mean, realistically, these shows are not special at all. They just feel like a contractual obligation they have to get through for the network. So they throw a few title matches on there. I mean, neither of the two Battle of the Belt specials that we've already seen this year have included an AEW World title match, a men's world title match. They had an AEW World title match the night before. They didn't even save it for the show that's called Battle of the Belts. I mean, if you bought a ticket to the show because they taped it all the same night, then yes, you got to see an AEW World title match. But for the rest of us, I mean, it's just silly. Yeah, they had a show called Battle of the Belts, and they had Hangman Page defending his belt the night before.